everyone, welcome to Rising Stories. This is a special bonus edition of the podcast because of I wanted to share a little bit about what's happening in Nashville with the tornado. Some of you have heard about it and have been asking how I'm doing, and which I'm fine, but I just wanted to kind of do a short little podcast on it. So I have invited, inadvertently, I had already planned this, and it's kind of very just, I guess it was meant to be, because this young Instagram friend of mine lives in the area, and I've invited her to come on the show today and talk a little bit about it. So welcome, Allie. Her name's
Hello.
Allie Ray. Hey, Allie.
How are ya?
Good. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, we already had this planned. We're going to do a Friday Favorites later on, but I wanted to kind of talk about the tornado and what's been going on in Nashville. And you live like super close to the affected area.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy. Honestly, it's been a whirlwind of a week. We live in Cleveland Park, which is just about half a mile north of Jefferson Street. And so, if you saw, I don't know what anyone has seen outside of the Nashville area. Obviously, we have good coverage of it. But if you see kind of the path of the tornado, it went through North Nashville, through Germantown, across the Jefferson Street Bridge, and then into East Nashville. So it kind of just crossed right there, about a half mile underneath us. So way too close for comfort.
That was so close. Now tell me
scary.
Where were you guys? Of course, everybody was home, or they were out, you know, kind of having late night drinks or whatever, but everybody was mostly home.
Yeah, we were in bed. It was about 12:30, I think. I honestly don't know the exact times, but I think that it was around probably 12:15, 12:30 that the sirens in the neighborhood started to go off. But that said, those sirens have gone off so many times. I know that sounds terrible and flippant of me to say, but usually it's like, oh, flash flood warning in Davidson County, and you're like, whatever, that could be the opposite side of Davidson County and have nothing to do with me.
Right.
And so they kind of started going off, and we were like, oh, I'm half asleep. And my husband's like, maybe I'll look at my phone and see what's going on with it. And then out of nowhere, our phone alarms went off. Like, you know, when an Amber Alert goes off and it overrides silent mode and everything. So our phone alarms went off like that. And we were like, oh my God, what is this? You know? And it literally said tornado touchdown. And so immediately we just jumped out of bed, grabbed the heaviest blanket we had, grabbed my dog and wrapped her in it, you know, and jumped in my closet. And I mean, we have a tiny house. It's 800 square feet. It is like, there is no such thing as a wall, like a room that doesn't have an exterior wall. Yeah. So we were like, okay, get as close to the middle as possible. Don't be in the kitchen where there are glasses and knives flying everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
And we just bunkered down, got on Twitter, and kind of that was the easiest way to see the most live updates. Exactly, the most active. We kind of hadn't had time to put on the TV or see what was happening in the news or anything. So yeah, we kind of bunkered down for probably 10 minutes, and then what we had seen is that it had already passed us. So thankfully, we don't have any damages where we are. And honestly, you couldn't even really hear the storm from the tornado from where we were, but the lightning was psycho. I mean, every other minute. And even like my husband was saying that a lot of the things that we thought were lightning, we were saying, and we're like, actually, it was huge transformers. And like that. And like, we still don't, we lost power, but only for a little while. But like, just down the street from us at Jefferson, at the intersection of Jefferson and Dickerson, they have not gotten their power back up yet. Those stoplights are still out. And even driving home last night, it was almost eerie when you're driving through a neighborhood that has no power, and you're like, this is usually hopping, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just pitch black. It's like, oh my gosh, this is for real. Like, it is serious what has happened here, you know?
There is just so much destruction. I mean, I saw a building that it looked like, I mean, these were like huge, heavy steel rods, and it looked like someone had just taken toothpicks and just poked them all into the building. Yeah. I mean, that's how crazy this, I think it was like an EF3 or something like that, but it just looked like it was a very, very dangerous one,
Yeah.
and just kind of ripped everything just to shreds. There was like streets that were just covered in debris, and
Yeah.
it is, and of course, we're getting a lot of coverage, and we are, people don't know this about Nashville, but we were the volunteer state, obviously, Tennessee, and there's just like people everywhere just helping, and sadly, there were a lot of lives that were lost. Like it just in the stretch, I think the tornado touched down and it went like 50 miles.
Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
so there are a lot of lives that are lost. So we send our thoughts and prayers to those people and their families. But there were a lot of businesses, like the East Nashville area that was actually hit was, I believe it was mostly commercial.
It was, yeah.
And so, I mean, I think there are some, of course, Nashville is booming, and there's like so many apartments area, just anywhere people can build an apartment complex, they will.
There is one.
So
yeah,
there
totally.
is one. So there were it is a mixed residential commercial area, but a lot of the businesses still don't have power even after 5 days. They are, I know a couple of my clients have businesses down there, and they're still not up and going, and they are just trying to rebuild and do what they can. There's several areas that were heavy hit even in other parts of Nashville proper, and that's all we can speak of because we don't know. There's been other places affected, like Lebanon, Mount Juliet,
Cookville,
that are also just devastated and lots of destruction there. But there are lots of volunteers, which is good. And I wanted to, first of all, before I move into like where people can send help, is that what have you guys been doing anything? What are you seeing post, all this, the tornado?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's been amazing. And like you said, we are showing up as the volunteer state like nobody's business.
Yeah.
People are just really out in droves. I suppose for that first day, we were really advised to stay home and stay out of the way because there were still people in danger, and to kind of let the first responders take care of that aspect of things. But then into yesterday and then today and this weekend, I think that's really when we have the opportunity to show up and show up major. I have some friends who honestly have been so amazing, just posting about where people from out of state can get involved is by donating, obviously, to like what you and I talked about, Hands on Nashville and Community Resource Center. But then even some of the more active needs are things like diapers and underwear and toothbrushes and obviously water and food and whatnot. But I feel like the water and food aspects are being covered more by those larger organizations.
Right.
And so I have friends, a friend of mine, Abby Made This is her Instagram, and she has raised $1,500. She did a Costco run. She went and bought literally $1,500 worth of toilet paper, and people were crying with her just delivering toilet paper to them in East Nashville.
Wow.
North Nashville has been, I suppose, a part of town that I think East Nashville is such a strong community that we're like, everyone's raving about, like, yes, everyone's showing up. And North Nashville got hit just as hard and is a lot of elderly people. And it is an older community. And so people have just been out there with chainsaws and tearing down trees, getting people out of their houses. Like, it's really been incredible to watch, just watch the city come together, you know? It's really amazing. I know a few places that you can still volunteer. Obviously, you can see at Hands on Nashville some of the locations where you can show up and they'll kind of give you jobs. That's our plan for this weekend, is to be in North Nashville and help with some of that cleanup. But then even yesterday, I know at Cinema, the restaurant in Melrose, we were packing sandwiches, and another friend of mine was just making peanut butter sandwiches because, like, what else can you do? People are out there, they're starving. Volunteers are working so hard, like, just anything to be out there and be helping is amazing.
Exactly. And I know that, and I'll try to find the link, Allie and I will try to find the link, but there is an Amazon, like a gift wish list somewhere where you can purchase something and it will go directly to the people affected. It'll go to one of the organizations and they will distribute it. I mean, there's, I think everyone is now, I hate to say everyone's set with water, but I think because water is, kind of one of those high consumables. But I know that I'm planning on getting some Rubbermaid tubs. I know people are picking up pieces from their homes and needing places to put their things. I mean, and just kind of the grassroots community, like you said, someone raising $1,500. There was a friend of mine whose sister was just, devastated, and it was just, her house is not livable. And the hard thing is like, these people have deductibles. And so while they have insurance, they weren't planning on spending, $5,000. And so we raised money for that. Things like that are coming up, and it's just awesome. And if you are in Nashville and you don't have time to donate time or whatever right now, plan on doing it for a while, because plan on doing it later, because it's going to take a while to rebuild. And
another thing is, with, like you were saying, a lot of East Nashville was more of the commercial businesses and things like that. And a lot of those servers and bartenders and workers at those shops, they're out of a job now. And I think that's been a huge thing, is like the other small businesses of Nashville just showing up and posting on their Instagrams like, hey, if you're a server in the area and you lost your job, please call us. We'll let you pick up shifts. Or if you have front desk experience, we'll let you slide in and we'll give you admin work until your job is back up. Because a lot of these restaurants, they're not going to be up and running, it may be a few weeks for some with less damage, but it's going to be months for some with more damage,
It is.
And then the other side of that is the apartment buildings and the more living type spaces. I know Germantown has a lot of this. I know North Nashville has a lot of this. Because of the damage to those buildings, a lot of those buildings are being condemned, and the tenants are being forced to move out within the next 2 to 3 days. So then people who have no damage to their actual apartment, but the building itself was damaged,
they have to move out.
A mass move out in the next 2 to 3 days. So people have been calling for box trucks, like you were saying, Rubbermaid tins, bins, and things like that, just boxes to help move. There's a lot. I know the IMT building, 2020 Jefferson, and then a few into North Nashville as well are just, it's going to be pretty hectic,
That is. I mean, people are going to need help moving out, and and also, these people that are having to move out, it's awful because, well, they weren't planning on moving out, but then also, where do they go? Because Nashville is not the cheapest place to live in. I think it's almost as comparable as, New York City these days, just with the housing cost is just crazy. And so having to deal with moving expenses plus all that. So if we can find a place, stay tuned. If we find a place where you can donate for those people, we'll let you know. But so Hands on Nashville for volunteering. If you want to give, there's the Community Resource Center. I think they are a nonprofit, and they'll take. I think there's also Gideon's Army. Is also helping, and then the Nashville Food Project is also doing staples of things for people that are having to relocate, or people that are living in hotels, that temporary housing and stuff. So
People Loving Nashville is another one that I love. They're a homeless ministry, and they've been distributing tents. If you think about some of even the homeless community in that area, it's pretty prominent. And so then they've lost so many things, and they're doing some really amazing work as well.
Wow. Well, thanks so much, Allie, for coming on. I just wanted to touch base on that and kind of put this out there so that people know where to give and maybe help. And I'll put something on my Instagram stories as well. And if y'all want to donate, I know Allie and I are going to go out tomorrow and do volunteer or whatever, and take food, water, whatever we can get to help people. And if you know someone in Nashville, please reach out to them. That has been really nice that people care, and want to know about our well-being. So make sure you reach out to them and see how you can help.
Yes.
So thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Thanks.